Now, your organisation, the Palestinian Australian New Zealand Medical Association, coordinates with the World Health Organization and Israel to offer emergency medical aid in Gaza and the West Bank. What sort of things are your staff seeing there on the ground?
Thank you for having me, and good evening to you and to the audience. We have been warning about this, and we knew this is coming. Our staff who's been on the ground have experienced hunger themselves. With one of our nurses haven't had food except for a cucumber and 2 tomatoes in a couple of days. They have described to us the amount of malnutrition, the amount of starvation that a lot of the patients that started flooding the hospitals. This declaration is very important by the IPC. And while the numbers that they're talking about is around 500,000 people, but actually this is because they had access to evidence in that area. However, in the north, the situation is worse. And my concern is that the people who are actually experiencing it is far more than that. There probably will be at least 1 million people who are in dire famine situation. The medical consequences, and our staff from PANZMA who had to deal with treating those patients have described to us the consequences of the starvation that the children have experienced and all the other vulnerable adults. And actually, most of Gaza population has been suffering.
Now, let's look at those. Apologies, continue.
Yeah, we need to act immediately. We have now got this declaration. And as I said, other parts of Gaza hasn't been able to declare that because of lack of lack of access to the evidence. I think we need our government to act now and to try to put pressure to allow all the medical aid and all the food to go in before the deaths spiral uncontrollably.
Let's break down those numbers a bit. Now, this declaration says that 514,000 people are experiencing famine in Gaza. 280,000 of those are in a northern region covering Gaza City, and the rest are in Deir al-Balah and Khan Yunis. This is quite widespread, but from what you're saying, it seems that even more people are experiencing these conditions.
Definitely a lot more people, because if you look at the report in details, it says that they reached the ability to declare, and this is this is the first time actually that this organization, the IPC, has declared famine in the Middle East. It has never been done before, and when you review the evidence, they said that things could be worse in the north, which is also going to be more than another 500,000 people, but they couldn't issue it because of their lack of access to those areas, because it's highly dangerous. And doctors who worked for us and went there, some of our doctors and teams that were in the north, actually told us that the situation there from the hunger point of view and lack of medical aid is far worse.
Now, the real question here, Doctor, is does this change anything? Considering the IDF is still carrying out its ground offensive in Gaza City, the Israeli government has been insistent in the past that there is no famine happening in Gaza. Does this IPC declaration here actually change anything on the ground now as a result?
Well, it has, because the problem is we are aware of now the offensive being expanded and going into Gaza City. I think if this is not stopped by international pressure and stopped immediately, the number of casualties that we will see from famine, not only from the offensive on the ground itself, but from famine and from the consequences of the starvation and the actual loss of life from the lack of medical treatment will increase massively. And if you look at the recent reports that actually reported that 83% at least, this is an Israeli report, of the casualties of the war so far are actually civilians. So it's important to take this report into account. It's by reputable international organizations that have conducted research and held back about releasing these numbers until they had reasonable evidence to go by. This should force all the international community to act and put pressure on the Israeli government to stop this offensive, to allow aid unlimited, both aid as in food, which is abundant around the borders, but none of it can go in, and also to try and also get all the medical aid that we have been trying to get in.
Dr. Muntaser Musameh, the Vice President of PANZMA, joining us there this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.